Yeah, let me see you in the ring, fight back on the mat. Words are weapons when you're talking with me, I'm like that. Quit your bitching, sounding salty to me. I see you losing like knobs, lost the gas in AP. Fuck you, I'm here to see bloodshed. Cut at each other, the Don as a Caesar. Wanting to see you do a career and to win the thumbs out. We pay to see Tonka shouting them down. Hold up the body, shockingly broken, displayed to the crowd. Came in confident, pussies leave hollowed. Watching with the empty bottle, the problem solving themselves. Monitor time and pay mind to the signs. Kumite, communicate, regarding shit high on the shelf. We pine for the belt. High class blood sports, vamps, red wine in the glass. Weak arguments falling flat on the ass. I'm fucking with that. Can't believe a newbie fell for the act. Took the alley off the avenue, tripped up and walked right in the slap. Going on a roll for the blood god, I'm seeing this out of my third eye. A way to make your heart stop, speaking with a spell like you know you fuck with the wrong guy. You already know, homie, no need to warn for me, aiming for the championship. You can go hard or go home knowing your reputation is worth shit. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite.
Hey guys, did you know we used to be intelligent? Weren't those today's? Cause nowadays we just yelling right for relevance. We're like savages.
You shouldn't say that around Tonkasaw. He's an Indian and that's racist, man. He might split your wig with a tomahawk.
Oh shit, copy that. Does anybody know where the producer's at? I hear alarms ringing, he's still asleep. The 90-minute intro is almost complete. He's gonna get his ass replaced by a thought too black for 80s taste. Gotta grab my wrench and break the glass. Need emergency tendies to wake his ass up. Yup, it's just one of those days. All praise the alarm, no state. And if we can avoid all the false flags, show can start. Fill body bags. What, is that news? The Kumite's a medicine, a threat to you. And your children too. They just might kill a classmate or two. Bullshit and lies come as no surprise, and are further from the truth in both of Brittany Vance's eyes. Just take a fucking minute to digest what you're hearing and realize what you're seeing ain't nothing new to the internet. It's the summer of the sweetest squatters in town. We're here to have a good time, pass the cake box around, and if you don't fucking get it, keep throwing your hissy fits, and let's get some ones in the chat if I fucking murdered this shit.
Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite.
Fresh out the bed with an argument. Okay, let's see who started it. Convince us that you're right and it's just not a dog it's barking at. It seems easy, but these things can be intense. Be queasy when that gate is your last line of defense. It's congregation of confrontation you can walk away from. Have concentration and set your point up with proper placement. Talk adjacent and satisfied with the crowd's amazement, and then see if a win is something you walk away with. Ain't no one around here holding your hand, man. Don't go into it blind like Jean-Claude Van Damme, cause breaking the arena ain't part of the plan. But end it with the W any way that you can. Regardless of hardship, harness up all that you know. Take the knowledge, you gotta take it as far as it goes. Plant a seed in their mind and see how tall that it grows. Make sure you do your best, and please pardon my flow. You know I try to show you what I got, but I can't explain it. This is the picture I'm painting, saying I'm walking away with the same thing that's tainted. But I don't care if I can escape it. Rather show you what I'm doing, but this beat's what I'm raping.
Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite. Bitch, you wanna fight? Take it to the Kumite.
Got me feeling like gin, off this gin I'm melodic, with the smoke in the air, and the smell is hypnotic, with a strawberry Swish blunt with a whole lot of chronic. In a pocket with a wallet with a whole lot of nada. I be stressed, but it got me in an ethereal mode with a serious soul in a cereal bowl. Like I'm searching for the sunflower, I'ma go on the road, but keep my mind open infinite like the Konami code. Hip-hop is my soul. Hope you looking when he's rapping. B-boy spinning to the beat like Mugen when he's scrapping. I'm jugging and I'm lapping on my way to Shangri-La. But some live, some die in the way of the samurai. Hear my battle cry. I might stay late and keep my fresh on the sideways 8. Yeah, I might make babes. All I need is some risotto and a cosplay chick that was born in Kyoto. Why? But that's a no-no if I ain't got that protection B. I keep my sword sheath. I don't need no BM stressing me. I wonder if there's a message, G, when I hear these new rappers. I ain't hating you rappers, but I prefer the boom bappers. It's the truth rappers, it's the war of the words. And I'm standing on top the castle representing the third. I guess you ain't heard. I'm following my destiny, following the God of fools, father to the death of me. A cross on my chest and resolve in my heart. Ain't shit you can do to bring a stop to this march. Bring a stop to this art. You must be JK, and I grab the mic and get loud like an AK spray, and then I stay laying this heat over beats. I got the resolve of a beast, so girl, put your knees over these shoulders right here. They holding up the world already. Mujushin style stabbers got your girl all sweaty. Yeah, you mad, bro? My bad, I'm in my zone. Miyamoto Musashi with the microphone. The best squad in the city is watching my back. I might hit you with the two-piece like Mataza the Zap. I'm just talking that crap. I'm a peaceful warrior. My flow Mega Man, I'll defeat and absorb you while I'm hungover off gin and soda. I'm a fucking hero, dog, man. I beat Genova. Word to Jehovah, right hand on the rhyme. The way I'm rapping these lines, so you can examine my mind. Take a step inside, don't be afraid. I'll let the beat lead me while I lead the way. And I seen today, as I read the sermon, that all I can tell you's only death is certain. But the way of the samurai is found in death. You might hear a lot of deep shit, but mine sounds the best. Yes.
Yeah. This one, baby. KV Anime on the beat. Hood Hemingway.
America's birthday, bust that pussy open. You can't hear no fireworks or guns over this good we smoking. Thompson Block, I'ma give you something to smile about. Miss George ain't made no pasta salad, I'm wild out. Me and G drunk and fuck getting lit, and so this burnt ass cheeseburger really hitting. Indy up the bit, you know we in the zone. And G's know better than to pass me the Patron. This my home, the setting of my story. Fuck your president, he ain't gon' fuck that up for me. So I'm getting lit on the 3rd, on the 4th, and you know my boy Booker passing out on your porch. Me, Jacob, and Pep out the shotgun a tank, and you know you gotta drink every time he say drink, pull up, drink, pull up, drink.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode number 1 of Knights of the Coffee Table. I think anybody joining us that used to show up to Woke Games realize we have a little bit of a rebranding going. Plus, the old idea of being woke sounds like it's going to be a dead meme. I'm here, as always, with Sin Rise, Stone Monkey, and the newest edition, Vash the Token Dargoon. But we also have a special guest, Matthew Place, former lead Hearthstone developer, Magic developer, and I guess co-owner of the company that runs Path to Exile.
Yeah.
How's it going?
What's up, man?
Not much,
talk to
man.
you, Sean.
Yeah, long time no talk. So the reason I know him is back in the day when I was a Magic the Gathering wannabe professional player. Matt Place was, he was part of my play group for like a couple years, right, before you moved on.
Sure, yeah.
Before I made the same mistake of going to college in Rolla, Missouri, just like you did.
Yeah, the same college. Yeah, I went to college out of the same college. Yeah.
But anyway, so our goal here today is just to ask Matt questions of what it's like to work in the gaming industry. For how long? How many years have you done it?
Oh, let's see. So I started in September of 2003. So I guess that's a little over 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years of experience in the gaming industry. Like, while we're sitting here bitching about games and the people that make them, he's over there actually doing the work to make the games for us. So a round of applause to people like Matt.
Yeah, I gotta say, I have a deep respect for game developers. I took apart Chrono Trigger myself, and I actually looked into the code, and there is so many different like shortcuts and tricks that no one would ever know if they didn't look.
Oh yeah, cool. You took it apart like you.
Yeah, I looked at it, because I've beaten it so many times. I just wanted to see like all of the stuff behind it,
Right.
Like I wanted to see what all they did with the sprites, how they did what they did whenever. Like an example is the portals. Like whenever the portal opens in Chrono Trigger, the little border that you see that's in between the middle of the circle whenever the gate opens and the outside area that's all wavy, that's actually a background. That's the main background of the game.
See, and they're just revealing a piece of it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Vash. I don't know what you're talking about because it's been like 20 years since I played that game.
I'm sorry. I'm a total nerd.
Yeah, so. I know. No, it's cool. So, I mean, the whole point here, though, is let's hear about Matt Place. So I'm sure, Monkey, I'm sure you have questions for him, right?
Oh yeah, being a big Magic fan myself, and also being a Blizzard whore, just due to the fact that I am a World of Warcraft how do you say, a lover. I cannot get myself to stop playing it. I take a hiatus and then I come back for a year.
And I know Vash has a list of questions that would take more than we have time. So my idea was like, let's do a round circle, and let's start with you, guys. Yeah. You got any questions for Mr. Place here?
Yeah, been a burning question for a long time. I played WoW for years and years and years and years. Just give you an idea how long I played it, I have the Insane in the Membrane achievement. And,
okay, that's insane.
I always wondered why they never made a StarCraft online.
Oh yeah, interesting. So I don't know is the first answer.
Damn.
But so I got to be. This reminds me of something. I got to be the head of WoW TCG. This was years before Hearthstone came out. I was doing design for the paper World of Warcraft card game. And when I got there, I was like, oh man, we should make StarCraft my actual second favorite game of all time. I was like, oh, we should make a StarCraft TCG. And I was devastated when the answer was, the universe isn't, how many cards could you make in this universe? Is it as popular as World of Warcraft? Right? It was like, there wasn't momentum for it from the company Cryptozoic. And it made me super sad because I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. We could do this. We'll do this, this, and this. It'll be awesome, right? And, how sweet would it be to open up a Battlecruiser card? And yeah, I was super excited, but of course, did not happen. Maybe a deck building game. There should be something more. I know there's a board game, but it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess sci-fi MMOs are kind of hard to do. They always end up being like a fantasy game. Let's
see, what year was it? Not an MMO, but you guys probably know about this. The shooter from
PlanetSide.
2000.
PlanetSide.
No, the Blizzard. The Blizzard one. They actually took it to E3, and it's called Ghost, I think. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
And I remember playing that, and Sean Carnes, who is a designer who also has worked on all the games you guys probably that I love and the games you guys probably love. He was Wizards to probably some parts I don't know about here, but Wizards to Blizzard to Riot, actually. So League of Legends and World of Warcraft and Magic the Gathering and other things. He was the guy showing it off at E3, so I think that was one of his projects. And I remember being super excited because I was pretty big into shooters back then. I knew a guy named Sean Tracy who had like been an awesome shooter from Kansas City. He was super good at the game.
Oh my dude, I was really, really good at Counter-Strike. Matt Place is one of the few people that remembers how good I was. I'm just too old, man. Like, I think there's a hard cutoff at games like that at like 25. After 25, it's just downhill for your ability.
Oh,
to
yeah.
kind of
Never.
I used to play on a team with like the super famous old school guy. What's his name? Frag, or what's his name?
Oh no, yeah,
right?
Fatality. Yeah, he was on my team for a little bit. Yep.
That's sick, dude. Yeah, he's like
he was such a bad teammate in Counter-Strike. We basically kicked him off the team.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, so anyways, Counter-Strike was a weird game.
That was an attempt.
I actually haven't heard of somebody being so bad that they were kicked off of a team in Counter-Strike.
That was an attempt at what?
An attempt at, kind of expanding the StarCraft universe, which I wish had happened, right? Obviously the game Ghost didn't come out, it got canceled, but would have been sweet. More storylines and I don't know, just alternate ways to play StarCraft would be totally sweet. If they announced an MMO for StarCraft tomorrow, I would put my lid. But yeah, I actually, I was so excited back then because I used to play shooters a bunch. Same. I was big into Quake back in the day.
Ooh, I love Quake.
I loved it. I went to QuakeCon 97 it would have been. And it was awesome. So StarCraft, let's see, was it 98? It was 98, yes. StarCraft came out, I believe, February 1998. And so QuakeCon 98 was tons of StarCraft, right? Because it just came out earlier that year. So it's totally sweet. This like 500-person LAN, right? Everybody's bringing their own computers to this giant, open warehouse at a convention center. Super awesome. There's what is his name? What are the names? Romero and John Romero and John Carmack, the two guys who made
ID.
Right, who made ID founders. They're there in their Ferraris, giving speeches. I'm watching playing StarCraft, and it was so awesome. And we did all right. We were on a team. I had really good players on my team. We got second place in the Capture the Flag team tournament. So that was pretty exciting. And I lost round one in the individuals tournament.
Yeah, so do you remember what first prize of that tournament was, by any chance?
I believe it was $10,000, if I'm correct. Am I wrong?
10?
10.
Yeah, $10,000. The only reason I'm bringing that up is because it reminds me of even back in my day of doing it. So like, of course, when I was a teenager, I thought it was awesome. But we'd go to these Counter-Strike tournaments. The best I ever did at the CPL was with that team, and we finished like, I don't know, 24th or something out of like 300 teams. And I think we won $1,000, but it was split 5 ways. Right?
Yeah.
So $200 each, and basically we thought we did something because we came back with cash in our pocket still. Not even a lot of cash, just some.
Yeah. I remember the early days of Magic. The idea of winning money in a tournament was just awesome, right? Like there were a few $100 tournaments where we, played, and it was just mind blowing that you could win money playing a game.
Yeah.
I remember going to the first Magic Pro Tour, right? New York, right? February, January, it was snowed in, and up on the wall, right? So first of all, they're giving away over $10,000 for first, which just blew my mind. I couldn't imagine that much money, right? That was just like crazy to me. And on the wall, they're like, we're giving away $1 million more this year, and they listed out all the next 3 or 4 Pro Tours that were happening. And I was like, this can't be real. What are they? They're giving away $1 million. Like my brain just could not comprehend they're giving away that much money for Magic the Gathering, but obviously gave away a lot more than that over the years.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
And with the way that it is now, and the fact that you get boosters and like cards, you can get a lot more money from some of the cards.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I quit in my last Pro Tour, I believe, was in '98. And like right after, I don't know exactly when they started the Master Series for Magic, but like right after I quit, they announced Master Series. And it was a 32-person tournament where I guess they would just invite however, some rating system for the top 32 players in the world. And last place was $2,000, which was a ton of money, back then to me as a kid. And, still a good amount of money. And I was like, oh my God, I stopped playing Magic. And right after I quit, my friend Weissman also just quit at that time. We were like, what the heck? They're giving away $2,000 for last now? What? So yeah, we missed out on the free money weekends there. First place, I think, was like $25,000, which was the same as the Pro Tour. But yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was mind blowing. So actually, not that you asked this, but to tell you a story, kind of how I got into the, wanting to spend more time on the competitive scene. So Sean, I'm going to Raleigh at the time, and I don't know if you ever went to Vision Con. It was in Springfield, Missouri, so you had to drive whatever that drive was, a couple hours. I went to the convention
know Springfield way too well.
Okay, yeah, it's more of a party town than Raleigh for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm there. Okay. So I go there, and so there's a tournament like on Saturday. I get there Friday. We're playing Magic. This is the Wild West days of Magic, where it was like super fun to trade because different people had different valuations. Get cards you needed, trade for moxes, yada yada. It was awesome. And so I didn't have any money.
Yep.
I didn't have any money, so I need to find a place to sleep. I'm like, am I just going to sleep in my car? And I see a sign, and they say, oh, we're showing this Dragon Ball Z all night in the theater room. I'm like, great, I will sleep during Dragon Ball Z all night and wait for the Magic tournament the next day. So, I'm having dreams of powering up. That's probably why I won the tournament the next day. And so the tournament was, the tournament organizers, he's like, all right, guys, you're going to have pairings. This other guy's going to run them for you. Everybody put $5 in this big brown box at the front of the room, and then he just left. So this dude is trying to figure out pairings. Everybody had to have a $5 bill to play, throw it in the box. At the end, it was just winner take all. And so I won, and this is probably the most money by a meaningful amount that I ever won in a tournament. I was just like, why am I going to school? I could win $255 playing Magic. And I saw my friends who actually went to the school there in Springfield and like, you won $255? That's too much money. He was just like mad at me for winning that much money. But it was like terrible and good for me at the same time, right? Because my naive, 17, 18-year-old brain was like, yeah, man, I don't need to go to school. I just won $255. Yeah. So.
I know that all too well. I could interject my own stories on this, but this show's about you, so Vash, I'm gonna bring it on you. Like, ask Mr. Place a question.
Oh man, there's my mind's riddling with like a bunch of them.
Just look at your list, bro. Look at your list and pick one.
All right. There's whenever what I was telling about the gap between like that I noticed earlier, and how I was saying that it's not always the game developer's fault, and we see this in Halo 2. Halo 2, that was half of a game because it was rushed to production. So I was wondering what could the companies or could possibly change that could make a better product.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do a sub B on that because I like that question. But I want to do a sub B. Have you been working for a company developing a product and had a deadline that was unreasonable whenever you were doing things, or a deadline that just didn't work?
Honestly, my experience, I think, is, I've listened to a lot of podcasts from other, developers, designers. I think actually I've been kind of lucky, like maybe absurdly lucky. Like most of the projects I've worked on have been super well funded with timelines that were generally very generous in the, in terms of giving the team enough time to get there. So for Magic the Gathering, we would basically be pencils down 9 months to a year before the cards were printed. Super long time. There's things that can go wrong with that amount of time too. But
from other people about Magic.
Yeah. But so we kind of, we were given Waterwood, was the lead for most of the initial concepts for all the sets that were made while I was at Wizards, and he would start, years sometimes before, but the team would be clued in on what he was thinking about. Probably usually an average of 14 months before we were going to be pencils down. So we had a good amount of time. You'd still feel the pressure when you're like 2 weeks till pencils down, but there was also the ability to, hey, for example, when I first got there, I wasn't a part of this. I just, saw them doing this when I first got to Wizards in 2003. But Eternal Dragon, if you know this card, 7-mana I flying, cycling for 2. When you cycle it, you get to go get a planes. I think I've said that correctly, but I think it was 6 mana, and they were worried about it. It was so good, they were worried. So they went really late, and they talked to Caps, before the printing actually occurred. They're like, change this to a 6, or change the 6 to a 7. So you kind of felt like, yes, you were done, but you still had some time to maybe make numbers changes, things that were easier than a total redesign on a new card. In hindsight, they were right to that. Right, that card was fairly popular. Would it have been too good at 6? I don't know. Most of the power was in the cycling, and then just because it makes its own mana. 7 and 6 becomes less of a difference than the average Magic card.
That's you still had a blue counterspell then, right?
Right. Was blue counterspell on 7th and 8th? I think was it an 8th?
Yeah.
I don't remember when I got rid of it. I was just saying, like, I was just thinking about it because I'm looking at the card, and what you would worry about, right, is you don't like recurring threats in control decks.
Right. And you could buy the dragon back too, right? That was the whole point of that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and you could, you mentioned counterspell. Also, it's the same amount of mana, so leaving 2 up. If you choose not to counter, then you can cycle an Eternal Dragon and get a planes. It's pretty powerful. Yeah, it's a super powerful card. But I don't think they made a mistake on changing it to 7. It's interesting, to one of my first experiences was, they went to, before it goes to press, let's change it. And it's still, I'm sure more than 6 months before it actually get printed. But but to your question on what can companies do? So I've seen the positive side. I've seen the side that I think works really well. And I think a lot of it is, when it comes to video games, is producers that know what they're doing. It's really one of the big challenges is okay, we want to make a game, right? We got this idea for a game. All right, how long to the finish line? All right, we got the initial idea. How long till we're done? I don't know, maybe 3 weeks to 30 years, maybe somewhere in there, right? So who knows? Right? I certainly do not know. I don't know how long it take to do the engineering, the coding of this game. How many times are we going to change our mind on core mechanics, right? Instead of lands, let's do an automatic mana system, right? Like Hearthstone went through that, right? Instead of playing quests, like in the paper TCG, they went to the automatic system, right? How long till you get to that? And then how many more changes do you have to make once you realize you want to change a fundamental mechanic, like how you generate mana in the game? And
what are the times where you have to just go straight back from scrap the whole thing and restart?
Exactly. Right, but you hear those stories too, right? This game got scrapped, so you guys are going to have to wait another 2 to 3 years,
Oh,
and
yeah.
sometimes you get a great game.
I've researched a lot of the history and a lot of games. The
Right,
president of Nintendo was a god.
Nintendo's awesome. So I guess the answer I would say is, I think a lot of it comes to producers that know what they're doing, right? Proper budgets where you don't get into a spot where you're like, well, I got 3 months worth of budget left to pay everybody. But yeah, I guess I don't really know. And then Sean, what was your B again?
Well, you answered my B to begin with.
Okay.
Right. That was your experiences with this sort of thing. And like you said, you were lucky.
Yeah, and so even Hearthstone, by the way, it was Blizzard. By the way, Blizzard, phenomenal place to work. Oh my gosh, it was awesome, right? Dream come true. Just beforehand, I knew it would be a dream come true, but being there was just awesome. The people are fantastic there. And apparently, I was just on Team 5, right? So there's 5 teams, one for each of the major games. And apparently, the Hearthstone team is very they were very nice and producers that knew what they were doing and were able to manage things in a great way, which obviously all the people there at Blizzard were talented, right? Because it's Blizzard. But things could get rough on other teams, and we had a philosophy that was no crunch. I'm sure you guys know about the nightmares of crunch. While I was there, the World of Warcraft team had to crunch for a while, and you kind of feel bad, especially when it's geez, I get to go home at 6 and other people don't. I actually, when I was new there, I came in on Sundays because it's easier for me to do writing stuff in an empty office, right? And so I'm writing, and I start sending emails, and the head of Team 5 responds. He's like, "Is there a reason you're in the office right now?" I'm like, and I respond. I was like, "Oh, I was just working on this." And he's like, "Oh, you should not be there. It's it's not working hours. They don't do crunch on Team 5." I was like, "Oh my God, did I just get in trouble for working? Did I just get yelled at for email?" So they were serious about it because he's worked on a lot of games that are a lot of video games where they had to crunch, and so he wanted to change the philosophy. So like I said, I got really lucky, right? When the lead for the game is, very anti-crunch. That's good news for all of his team members. So
yeah, that's really awesome, and it shows a great leadership skill to be able to manage people in that type of way.
Did Blizzard change this, because they used to be very anti giving out release dates after they announced a game?
Right. So yeah, it's interesting. As a fan watching Blizzard games come out, I think it was, I'm going to guess on dates here, but like 99 and 2000. You saw Diablo 2 on the cover of like PC Gamer and stuff.
Oh no,
yeah,
no, yep.
The game doesn't come out for years, but everybody gets so hyped about it, and Blizzard's like, "Yep, it's on the horizon." We give, and I think that's part of why they got to the, we'll release it when it's done motto. That obviously has changed some, right? Like at BlizzCon, they will now, time frames a bit more than they, I think, did over the last, 2 to 10 years ago. But it was kind of insane seeing Diablo 2 on the cover of these gaming magazines for years, and the game's just not out, 2 years later. So I think they just didn't like that. My guess is, I don't really know, I never talked to anybody there about it, but my guess is they didn't like that, everybody's expecting it, and the doors are getting banged down by the players. They expect it now, and, I don't think that's good for the players or for the company.
And before I get on to a question I have, I do want to comment on that. Blizzard kind of has the luxury of, they just have so many games that turn to gold.
Right. It's insane. Yeah. Right. How do they do that? Yeah.
Like whenever you have that much going for you, like I don't think there's a lot of pressure as far as the income influx goes. You force the game out before it's done.
Right, Blizzard has that luxury. You're totally right. There's nobody who's going to be like, no, I want it tomorrow. It's like, well, we've proven we can do it if you give us enough time. Unlike other companies where that pressure from the people, the money people, probably, the exec, probably is, way louder than it was at Blizzard, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, on that subject, I was wondering, why did they get so much from stuff out of each expansion for World of Warcraft? They get us all hyped for stuff, and then stuff goes away, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating as a player, right? Like, I don't know. Is the answer once again? Pretty safe answer here. Yeah, I didn't get to work on World of Warcraft. I went to some lunches with the dudes who make World of Warcraft. I actually got to work with some awesome people who moved over when Hearthstone was starting up or starting to explode. Some of the WoW devs moved over to Hearthstone, so I got to work with Hayrim Wu. She's awesome. She does a lot of the writing and lore creation, new player experience for Hearthstone. Yeah, super awesome work with her. Nat Pagel, if you know that Hearthstone card. Yeah, Pat Nagel is his name. Pat Nagel. He's the one who made chess. He did a ton of quests in World of Warcraft. So he moved from World of Warcraft to, I think he did something in between. Maybe he worked on Diablo for a bit. But yeah, he made chess for both Hearthstone, if you know chess from Karazhan. He made that for World of Warcraft and for Hearthstone, which is kind of cool, working on both teams. But yeah, he did a ton of stuff for both games. Really cool guy, super cool. Yeah, so got to learn a lot from the people who had worked on WoW.
So there's a lot of friendly overlay.
Oh yeah, and it's an interesting relationship, right? Because it's the same world but two teams. So I think it's really healthy getting people like Hayrim that knew World of Warcraft so well. Ben Brode, my boss, he also knew it super well. Getting people who really knew it and loved it, super important for Hearthstone to do well. And then, of course, we took liberties and did silly stuff like, hey, Gadget Zan's a little bit different.
I'm pretty sure it was when Overwatch was out, and I just saw you online. I invited you, and we were playing, and I was talking, with my roommates, and I said something about how they need to fix this, being able to select like tons of the same character or something. And like I was complaining.
Oh, right.
And I didn't even know you were working at Blizzard at the time, right? I just saw you online.
Yeah.
And I said something, and you're like, well, the lead developer is sitting across the cubicle from me, or something like that. I was just like, what, really? No. And you told me you were working for Blizzard? It was like, yeah, no, Jeff, he's right over there. Like, I can see him.
Yeah.
And I was okay, well, don't tell him I said that.
The idea
and Overwatch. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The idea of the servers actually came from my experience with WoW, because I was actually thinking, what if the Lich King won?
Alternate history, World of Warcraft. I'm gonna be real honest.
What if you chose to go with the Lich King?
Blizzard could totally release. I'll let you respond, but this is how confident I am with the WoW fan base. Blizzard could release the same game but with alternate history on servers and charge people some stupid amount of money on top of what they pay. They'd do it.
That's such a cool idea. Alternate universe. Yeah. So, it's funny you should mention, what if the Lich King had won? I'm going to go a little sarcastic here. Like, what if he had won and killed Jaina and Rexxar and Anduin, right? And that, of course, is one of the themes for one of the Hearthstone sets, is the Lich King killing all these major characters, turning them into undead versions of themselves, Death Knight versions of all the heroes. Yeah. So we kind
that's why I wanted to ask you about that.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, no, and it's funny too, right? Because when you're working on that, this is really fun. It's so, obviously the Lich King is kind of the Darth Vader, right? Both in terms of badassness and famousness, right? How much affinity do people like you and me have for the Lich King from both, World of Warcraft and Warcraft 3? Oh, I love that game so much.
The fact that he was at first like the whole betrayer of the light, and the paladin, and really, really strong, and then he just takes that 180 and just starts wrecking everything.
Right, and you get to see his 180, as tough choices where he's like, "Yep, I'm doing the right thing," and it's like, well, I don't know about killing all the villagers doing the right thing, but
Man, that just wonders, when am I getting another actual regular Warcraft game? I want Warcraft 4.
We all do.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
I like those better than the MMOs, but I want to ask you a question. Actually, I should have started the stream with this.
Okay.
I want you to, well, actually, I know a decent amount of it, but from start to finish, I want to hear about your career making money playing games, and I'm not talking about just when you got hired by Wizards.
Oh, also the stuff that would get thrown in jail if I had to it. That stuff too.
No, you can talk about things that your friend did for money.
Right. Yeah. So we so the beginning, I'm thinking about this. I remember to a podcast. I like the IGN podcast. I listen to those guys, and they're talking about what game really got you into it. So I think the beginning for me really was Super Mario Brothers. It was only at arcade, like the Nintendo had not come out yet, and I was just obsessed. My dad, he would drink beer. I would take the cans, go turn them in for 75 cents or whatever, and it would be 3 plays at the Circle K and downtown Kansas City, and I get to play some Mario Brothers. Oh my God, this is so awesome! And just being kind of almost unhealthily obsessed. You know what I mean? Where it's like I could not stop thinking about it. And if I got $10 for Christmas, it was just blown instantly. So yeah, so I got super into video games. We were kind of competitive in our friends groups, but really the big shift was right after I graduated high school. Magic the Gathering was put on my radar. Right, Dan Burdick, you know him very well, my little brother. He called me from the comic book store, and he's like, "Oh, they got a game here. It's a card game version of Dungeons and Dragons." And I was just like, "Oh my God, I wish I had a car. I got to play this game. Whatever that means, I have to play this game." Before I even knew it was the best game of all time, I was already like, "Oh my God, this sounds awesome." And so we got super into it. Didn't know the rules, right? Thought mana short into the mana pool with a counter spell, and just did everything wrong. But we loved it, and so we got into this. I don't know when you started, Sean. It might have been close to this time, but this is
Weatherlight was Weatherlight was my first set. So it was. What's funny is that on the grand scheme of things, it was pretty close. But the evolution of Magic within that 2 years was giant. Like it was probably like the biggest leap of any 2-year time span.
Right. Yes, I totally agree with that. So in those 2 years, right? So we start playing there, and this is right before Legends comes out, and the game is, it's just packing the comic book stores. People are on the floor playing. There's not enough table space back then because the stores weren't ready for it. Like, why even have a table in the comic book store before that? And I remember people saying, "Oh, this is a force field card. You'll never get cards as good as this." It's like, oh, that sucks. Because there's all these old cards that were out of print right after they came out. Right, Legends was probably the prime example of that. It was gone right after that first week. You could not find it in stores unless they were charging $10. And so we were like, oh, we can't get Moxes, and they're $15. But why would you ever spend $15 on a card? Well, then my brother he trades an Elder Dragon for a Mox. And so we realized you can actually do some trades and get these older cards. Little did we know these Moxes would be worth, infinity later. But so we were able to get into it, even though we didn't have much money. We started trading. And so actually trading became the game. And so I think that kind of pushed me on this path of both, playing, but also trying to figure out some way to make the economics work for me and our friends.
Could there be a trade mechanic in Hearthstone?
There could have been, yes. Card games actually considered that. That FC Artifact that just came out, they have a marketplace, which is essentially a trade, trade for money, real life money mechanic. I actually like Hearthstone a lot better because it takes that part out of it. And I think there's a lot of people like me, who I love part of Magic, that when you don't have to worry about it, you know what the price is going to be, right? It's in dust. When you can play for free and earn stuff, it really lets the card game, I think, become kind of interesting, the focus, right? Like it's not, there's an overbearingness.
That's one of the things that I really respect about Hearthstone is the fact that there's a lot of people that say, oh, well, you have to pay to win, and in some cases, in some games, I say yes. But in Hearthstone, if you were to just grind in that game, you don't have to pay for the cards. You can grind and then there's the crafting mechanic that I really enjoy. The fact that you can throw away the cards that you don't really want, and you can get like this essence to make more cards.
Right, the arcane dust. Yeah, it's totally. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What?
No, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Vash. We can talk about this. I don't know how much time you have, Matt, but I do want you to go on with after Legends of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, well, okay, let me just respond to that. Like, something I really like about the Hearthstone system too is it's less intimidating. One of the things that went wrong, and I saw this, when people were trading back in the early days of Magic, is if you don't know card values, you kind of get this. You see a lot of people get into paralysis, like what cards should I trade for? Did I make a bad trade? Oh, I got ripped off. It sucks. I don't want to trade anymore. And Hearthstone removes all that by just being like, here's exactly how much Arcane Dust of Common is. You know it, right? It's going to be true a year later now. And of course, play for free. Lots of streamers play for free and get to Legends. So I think that's a pretty good argument that you don't have to spend money on Hearthstone. But yeah, anyway, so we got into Legends, and Legends took off in value right away because there wasn't any, right? I bought $80 worth, and that was like all my money. And then suddenly it was worth probably 3 months later, it was worth, I don't know if it was worth $1,000, but it was worth close to that, right? There were people who would give you a good amount of money, $20 for these rares that you might have, opened in or traded for, dozens of. So it clued us in on, you can make money for this. And like I was saying, winning tournaments became a way to make money. So we kind of approached gaming as like, how do we make money, right? What can we do? And to fast forward a little bit through past Magic, Diablo was the way that we kind of cashed in the first time. My friends and I were playing the game to find items to sell on eBay. And you could find an item right after the expansion to Diablo 2 came out. It was worth like $600. They quickly went down in value. But it's mind-blowing how much money you can make. So it was so fun. And we played MMOs that way too. You probably know people who talk about this, right? The early days of EverQuest, where, what was it? Fungal Tunic was worth like $300, right? Just all these different items being worth tons of money. So we got into that. And actually, some of the people kind of got into it too, Sean. Right?
Yeah, I was into it. I made some money doing it too.
I also was in EverQuest.
I made money selling Dark Age of Camelot accounts.
Yeah. Well, so we kept going, and I remember calling my friend and saying, "Dude, Stone of Jordan is $100 on eBay. We should be playing Diablo to try to figure out how to make money." And so I did that for a while, and then I started trying to sell Magic cards. Magic Online came out. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell Magic cards. We'll see how that works."
Wait, didn't you? Hold on. Didn't you register a domain name that was very close to Wizards?
Yes, right. So we registered MagicOnlineStore.com. right? And it made sense to us, right? MagicOnlineStore.com.
Would you pay like 20 bucks for that
domain?
Yeah,
whatever it is, right? Yeah. And we get tons of emails where people were sending feedback about Magic Online. It's like, oh, no. We're not actually Magic Online. And I think Wizards was probably a little upset that we had it. They actually locked my account for a while because I was buying and selling. And I guess they flagged me as there's a lot of thievery going on. I think either through PayPal reversals or I don't know, whatever it was. They locked up my account. And that's when I kind of realized, okay, if they could just lock up my account, I can't really make money doing this. Obviously, later bots would come in and people would make a lot of money doing Magic Online sales, but didn't really make a lot of money off of Magic Online. But yeah, the figuring out the Diablo stuff turned into a passion for my friends for Diablo-style games. And so anyways, yeah, going back to the Magic stuff, so we got good at Magic, right? One of the things I think is true, Sean, is like how many times, I don't know how often we drove to tournaments together, but obviously I drove with my little brother and some of the other guys from Kansas City. But like we would drive to tournaments and it would seem like almost always somebody in the car we drove with would win these tournaments.
Yeah, no, it was almost always.
Yeah, it was like, it was, especially when you went to Iowa City or somewhere, right?
Well, so you were playing.
Tech was not as good.
You played beforehand or before me or whatever. But whenever it was you and Dan came back on the scene, and that's when I was, me and Spanky were the top dogs in town, I guess you would say.
Right.
Like I don't know. Would you argue anybody else at the time?
Who else?
Besides
there
those
were a few
two
guys
people
who would win Friday Night Magic, right? Scarborough would win some of the time. But yeah, Spanky, who we were just talking about this before the podcast, like I think he's either gold now or he was just a gold level pro, so super good at the game.
Yep.
I remember him being a little 10-year-old standing at the edge of the table watching us, play Magic, and now he's a badass. So that's awesome. But yeah, so we got pretty good at the game. I flew out to a bunch of tournaments in California where they were, Team TCL was coming up at the the first Pro Tour. They got kind of famous, and I hate to brag, but I'm going to. I won 4 out of the 5 $1,000 tournaments they had out in their area. And I remember Mark Chalice was like the guy out there, right? And I'm going to face him in the finals. And his friends like, dude, you're not going to beat him. He's got Lancette. You're not going to win. Trust me. I was like, okay, good. I think I'm going to win because his friends tell him he's going to lose. But it's for a beta Lotus, so it wasn't as good as the $1,000 tournament. Oh wait, it's not at the time. Now, obviously, way better. But so Dan, just to brag about my little brother, I went to nationals. The first nationals I went to was '95. And it was the same weekend. I don't know if you guys know this. It was the same weekend as the Dragon Con $25,000 tournament. And so Wizards had scheduled on top of this $25,000 tournament because it was not Wizards running this $25,000 tournament. So I assume it was Scaff Elias, the guy who's basically the grandfather of the Magic Pro Tour, who scheduled this. I'm pretty sure it is, but don't quote me. Scheduled it on top of it, so we had to choose. We decided to split up and go to each tournament. Well, Dan's still only like 14 at the time, so parents flew him to Dragon Con, and I go to Nationals. I get 9th, which was terrible. You don't make top 8. It totally sucked. It's devastating. Dan wins. The 14-year-old kid, he wins. He comes back. So at the time, I assume he's the highest winning Magic player, right? Because like there was no Pro Tour at the time.
Yeah,
that was the biggest tournament.
That
had to have been 14-year-old kid. Right, had to have been him. Like, how else could it not? Right, what else could happen back then? He comes back, he buys me a new computer, gives me $2,000 in cash. So yeah, awesome little brother. Yeah, he's awesome. So I got into the pro scene. I made what place did I get? I don't think I made top 16 at the first Pro Tour, but I was like 4-0, beat the guys who were in the top 8, and it was only 6 rounds. I lost the last 2 rounds. That wasn't good. 4-2 wasn't good enough. And then made 12th at the second PT, and then did all right at a lot of pro tournaments. We won Worlds in the Worlds team in '96, made top 8 Worlds '96, won the Pro Tour out in Mainz, made top 16 the next 2 times I would play at Nationals. So I did pretty good for that 2.5, 3 years that I played. And that was way more money than I thought I'd ever have in my pockets. That was super awesome. But yeah, then started getting more into trying to figure out how to make money playing games. No game design. Poker popped up. And so Dan and I both got into poker. That pulled us away from games pretty heavily.
Yeah, this was poker. This was also, I just want to give people an idea. This was before the World Series of poker. started being televised and made everybody feel like they're a professional. Right. There was a pretty easy formula you could do online. Like Dan Burdick kind of, and him and Rob just kind of helped me through it. Of course, at the time I was a good card player. But that's I cashed out like $200 a month for 12 months my junior year of college.
Nice.
Like, and it was just playing like 3 cheap tables at a time, just following the strategy.
Dan. That was like the beginning before everybody got good. I guess that's the way to say it. Maybe everybody who wasn't good stopped playing online. But at the beginning of the boom, you could make a lot more money. And I did all right. Dan, had some really big years. He was, buying monitors and playing 16 tables and stuff. But I didn't get as much into poker as him. So then I hadn't been playing Magic for like, 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer than that, 5 or 6 years. But they still had the rating system. And so I was still qualified for a Pro Tour if I wanted to go, right? Because I still had a high rating.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got some money recently or whatever. And it's like, maybe I'll go to Berlin, right? World in Berlin is happening. So I hadn't been to a Pro Tour in a long time. I go to Berlin and I don't do great. 5-1 in standard was my only good showing. It was like 3 different formats. I did pretty poorly. But one of the mornings, I'm in the hotel breakfast buffet area, and I see Garfield, who I've talked to, a few times throughout the years, and I say, "Oh, hey, Richard."
By the way, that's Richard Garfield, creator of Magic.
Garfield, right, creator of Artifacts and Magic the Gathering. A lot of games. And I'm like, "Oh, how would I get a job at Wizards if I wanted to?" I thought a little bit about it, but really thought about it. He's like, "Oh, you should talk to Randy Bueller and and Mark Rosewater." And so I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that." And I chat with them and like, "Okay, yeah, you want to work? Great." And Rosewater's pretty excited about it. I've been friends with Rosewater since the very early days of the pro scene. Met him when I flew out to those tournaments in California, and so he was down. He was cool. He was excited for me to get a job. And they're like, "Okay, well, why don't you be the spotter in the top 8 of this world, and then we'll talk. We'll get you a design test or something." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I'm a spotter. So I got a headset on, and I'm going to communicate to Randy and whoever else was doing commentary about what cards are in play, right? Because they didn't have all the camera angles. And I'm like, "Oh, wait, I haven't been playing Magic for 5 to 6 years. I don't know anything." So I had to be the first spotter in history. I'm like describing the cards to them. I felt so bad. I'm like, 2 mana, 2/3, da. And what I mean? It's saying the card name. So anyways, that's terrible. That's a disaster. For some reason, though, they gave me a design test. And I got the job, and I went out to Wizards. And this is when a lot of my just massive amount of learning starts here in 2003, where I was obviously very spiky. We're trying to win at games, and so I would approach Magic as like, okay, how do you win? What's the best cards? Kind of that spike elitist attitude of like, why does this card exist if it's not good? And so I started learning, just tons of things. It'd be fun to do just hours and hours of discussion on this, of like things that were intuitive to me as a spike or just as a fan of games that were just wrong, right? Like the unintuitive path to me was the right path. So a good example of this that I didn't really understand before I got there is, do you guys know Gray Ogre from Alpha Magic the Gathering?
Oh, yeah, they've printed several throughout history.
Yes, there's right.
One was a rare in 5th edition. Goblin Hero.
Goblin Hero, wow. Oh, rare. Okay.
Yeah, it was
all right.
rare.
So it's got the most rares of any set, I believe, 5th edition. So anyways, so Gray Ogre costs 3. 2R. By the way, that's the way that Wizards R&D says mana cost. You say the number and then the letter abbreviation for the color. So it's 2R. Spread it. Everybody should say it this way. Everybody that I talk to says it some other way and it confuses me. Everybody should adopt the Wizards way. It's more efficient than saying 2 and a red. Anyways, 2R. And so I thought this card was pointless. Like, why does this card exist? It sucks. And, right, like you would never run this tournament. It's literally strictly bettered 3 times in Alpha. So Gray Ogre is 2R22. Hoofed Troll is 2R22 with Pay R Regenerate. Right, strictly better. Granite Gargoyle is 2R22 flying, already strictly better, and it butt pumps, right? Pay R, get +0/+1 until end of turn, way better. And then Sedge Troll, 2R22 that gets +1/+1 if +1/+1 if you have a swamp, and regenerates for black. So unbelievable. It's strictly bettered 3 times, and it's like, this is not good design, right? Like, it can't be. There's 3 cards that all cost the same, and 3 of them are strictly better than another one. But now I absolutely believe it's fantastic design, right? Super unintuitive to me at the time. And the reason is there's a few. One of them is anchoring of, I'm new to the game. I opened the common, which is the bad one, the Gray Ogre first. And I go, okay, this is a magic card, right? This is alpha. So this is the first time any of us are seeing magic cards. I start in the very beginning, but everybody was playing back then. Okay, 2R for a 2/2. Gotcha. And then you eventually see Ooth Control, the uncommon. And you go, that's better. I know how to make an upgrade to my deck. And that's super important because when the game is new to you, which it will be to a lot of people, in the few months who are just starting Magic for the first time, if you can get some anchors and start to understand, right? Maybe you have a friend who tells you power levels to get you in a kind of advanced way, but this is a way to do it, is to see strictly betters, right? That's a good way to see how to upgrade your deck, right? A theme deck that comes out tomorrow that has a vanilla common 2-mana 2/2, right? You'll start seeing ways to upgrade your deck. It kind of reminds me of, speaking of MMOs, is like finding a broken shield at level 2, right? It's got 2 armor, and you're like, okay, whatever. I got a broken shield. 2 armor is better than no armor, right? That slot was empty before. And then you find a magic shield that gives you +3 health and 10 armor. And you're like, oh my God, this is so much better. Right? That feels great to upgrade. And so that was that was important. Also the simplicity of, what your pack does. When I'm opening up, 9 commons, whatever the was back then, it's probably closer to 7. I don't know exactly because there's so many lands in those packs. But it's nice not to be overwhelmed by the card text. So just vanillas that are easy to understand and play great, right? Magic plays great when you just have a 2/2 and you're like, do I want to double block with it, or do I want to attack even though you have a 3/2? Maybe I have to stay back to block the 3/2, right? Like just a vanilla can play really well in Magic. So there's a lot of good reasons to make this this strictly worst card, especially in the first set of Magic for, it's not a beginner product, but it was the beginner product for a lot of people. So I learned a lot of lessons like that. Like, why do you do things that seem so wrong on the outside? And now my perspective is more, when I see games do something that I don't understand, now that I've been on the inside, instead of going, that's stupid, they shouldn't do that, I'm like, oh, I wonder why. Is there something I'm missing, right, that they understand being on the inside, and maybe they ran into issues going down other paths, that they're doing something that's so confusing? And of course, sometimes it is a mistake, but I think it's a much healthier, like, being on the inside teaching me that like, there's smart people out there who have figured out things I don't understand, but being willing to, kind of go, okay, what's going on? What am I missing? Will make you a better game designer, right? Because if you find out the answer, you just level up, right? If you go, oh, why do they, let you do this in this game, but not in this other game? Okay, well, maybe there's an answer. Maybe I'll go read a deck, find out why. Or, it's a great way to level up. So yeah, I've just encountered tons of these things where, and especially, and I thought I had learned a ton, but getting on the Hearthstone team, right? A game that's much more straightforward. I'm not going to say simple because the complexity and depth is definitely there, right? Guessing your opponent's hand and knowing what play to do is quite hard, right? Pros are good for a reason in that game. But it is very different than reading Hearthstone cards is very different than reading Magic cards. And so I learned a lot from why they wanted to do that. Eric Dodd's kind of, Ben Brode, Eric Dodd, that original team, they have a lot of insights into things where I just did not occur to me that you would do it this way. An example, when I first got there, actually, we were talking about StarCraft earlier. I was like, oh, you guys don't have a campaign. One of the great things about StarCraft was, I loved the campaign, and then I felt like I could graduate to PvP after the campaign. And so part of the argument for not having a campaign, I think also, did they find the right way to do it was a part of it, right? Did they have something they loved? But part of it was they had a different philosophy on StarCraft. It was, if you play StarCraft, and, I'm probably misquoting them a little bit, but if you play StarCraft and you finish the campaign, part of it is you're done, right? It's like, okay, I finished the game. Do I need to go play PvP? No, I already know how the battlecruiser works. I already know how all these, I've already had the fun and the kind of explored the mechanics and the coolness of the game. I don't need to go to PvP, right? Which makes sense. Okay, yeah, you're done with the game. And also, you're not thrown into it at the beginning, right? Like, if StarCraft said, welcome to StarCraft, click play, and you clicked it, and it was a PvP game at the very beginning, you would just quit. Yeah. Well, so a lot of people would quit if they knew it was a PvP game. But I guess my point here is that you wouldn't have that. You would just, if you're thrown into it, like Hearthstone kind of does right after the tutorial, you're kind of like, it's kind of like taking the training wheels off a little bit for a bike, right? The bike is super intimidating when you're 4 years old. But once you start doing it, it becomes second nature. And so,
well, also the algorithm, the algorithm that you guys have for beginner players, you're actually going up against beginner players.
That's true. That's something that did not exist in StarCraft 2.
That is something that League of Legends. That is something that League of Legends was heavily struggling with. That is something so many other games do.
Yeah, so League of Legends. So yeah, you're totally right. The StarCraft 1 didn't have that, so matchmaking is super important. By the way, Hey Wu is one of the designer basically for making that super good for Hearthstone. And it got better.
I've actually been trying to. I've been trying to figure out the mathematics of that. I'm honest. I love watching, and I'm always trying to look at things and going like, how does this work? Like, how did they?
Really hard. Turns out it's really hard. There's a Elo, which is a guy named Elo made a skill ranking system that it's based on. But then after that, there's a lot of things. Like once again, we're not intuitive to me. They weren't intuitive to many people there. Actually, they did a lot of trial and error to figure out how to make the matching, especially for new players, better. And she was updating it while I was there. I got to work with her on that. But yeah, so anyways, it was a surprising answer to me that they were worried about people feeling done and feeling even more scared to jump into PvP if there was a giant, Hearthstone campaign, right? Single player that you played first. It sounded like the opposite would be true. No, you want people to learn how to play the game first so they feel more confident to go into PvP. And they didn't feel that way. And it's interesting because, I thought TCGs, card games should have good, long, campaigns to get people associated with the card game. And now in hindsight, I'm like, well, Hearthstone obviously exploded and it didn't have that. Their arguments actually make a lot of sense. In hindsight, you have a bit of 2020 going on, but yeah, it's super interesting. So speaking of matchmaking and League of Legends, during the beta, Mike Toney, he's the lead balance designer, final designer for Hearthstone. He was in the top 50 of League of Legends, and so was I. So we were pretty good at League of Legends. And
no shit, that's awesome. I didn't know you even played that game, dude.
Oh yeah. I first blooded Reginald a few times in my day. But yeah, and so we want to teach some other wizards the game, and so we go down to the computer lab, and we're like, all right, let's get on a team. Here we go. And at the time, they matched it based on the single person on your team with the highest elo, with the highest skill rating. And so we got matched against Reginald, and I don't know if these guys still play, but Trieste, Chessie, whoever, that original good team, that best team back in the day. And I'm just like, what the? I literally had 3 people on my team who had never played before. So we go 0-29. And, that was my friend's first experience in playing League of Legends. Yeah, total beating. They're still playing though, so it didn't ruin. But yeah, we played a lot of League and Dota at Wizards. It caused insane fights. Wow, it was crazy. I learned.
Okay, well, I have a follow-up question for that too.
Yes. Ready.
Okay, so you were one of the best in League of Legends.
Yeah, during the beta before the pros,
yeah, the beta was a different story because I would play Annie and get a Magi Soul Stealer and then just ace the entire team. It was so much different than it is now.
All right, real quick. So we're playing with the Riot guys. Dan is learning League of Legends, and Andrew Yip, one of the Riot dudes, is helping Dan learn. And Andrew suggests to Dan, my little brother, you should play Annie. And so he's telling him what to do, and Dan is running back to the tower. What the hell? Why aren't the towers shooting? And he's running all the way back to the tower to try to play the game because this giant bear is chasing him all the way to the tower, and he's totally baffled why the towers aren't shooting.
Yeah. But yeah, being that way, there's the whole ranking system, and if I'm correct, Hearthstone kind of has it too. But there's different attitudes towards ranks, and one of the ways that I can explain it is through League of Legends. I'm personally the highest I've gotten is around gold. But nice. That was a long time ago. but it was I noticed that there was just a different attitude towards every rank.
Well, I was gonna say I was 2000
And-
plus when there was a number, but yeah, gold 3 is the highest I got to when I was playing the game. But I'm a casual tryhard these days. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
No,
I don't have time to play the games, but when I play, I try.
Right.
I want to win.
No, I'm the same way, Sean, and it's often very frustrating to be in that space, right? Because you're like, I want to be better, but often it would take a lot more time. Yeah, actually, that system League of Legends has, I did a write-up. I'm like, I think you should do this. I basically referenced StarCraft system of StarCraft 2 system. I was noticing people were really excited to move from bronze up to silver, right? Had friends who were like, yes, I just made silver. And it's like, well, you just went from number 100,000 in the world to 127,933, which sounds way worse, but you're very happy right now. There's like this cool fun that's being, right, happiness is being generated by just displaying it in a different way. And so actually Paul Sotosansi, who has led Magic sets, I believe he was the main architect of their current League of Legends current system. So kind of cool, small world.
Yeah.
Well, I figure like the game developer world of those big companies, you guys all kind of know each other.
Yeah,
right? Like is there
how small the world is.
Well, yeah, like I'm gonna guess, like, do you know somebody at Bethesda? Just curious. Anybody that works at Bethesda, do you know them? Yes.
Yeah. So here you go. So Brady Dom is at ZeniMax Bethesda, and he was he was an editor at Wizards, turned into the rules manager for a while, turned into the lore keeper / lead creative for Magic the Gathering during some of the best sets of all time, like for world building, like Ravnica, original Ravnica. So
weren't you on that team too?
I was on the team. I'm not part of the world, but yeah, that was my first lead. Was third set in the Ravnica first Ravnica block. Yeah.
Which is what
changed
Magic and revived it forever. Actually, on that note, just because I know there's a lot of people that watch Vash's streams and will watch it that play Magic, but you want to go over the sets that you were a part of that maybe the ones you're most proud of.
Well, most proud of, Dissension's up there. I remember a lot of them pain, right? Because I've learned a lot since I worked on those sets. I didn't do a great job on Dissension, but it was my first lead. It's a good set, I think. Aaron Forsyth was the lead initial designer, and I was the lead final designer. So super fun memories on that. I started working at Wizards actually September 2003. The first set that I got to have an impact on was Fifth Dawn. It was like 2 weeks till it was going to go to pencils down basically, and I had two important changes in hindsight. Obviously, helped influence. Cart Clan Ironworks cost 3 when I got there. When I built the deck, it went up to 4. Still made turn 2 kills in standard. And Serum Vision was
so we can blame the degeneracy of Modern on you. All right.
No. It went from 3 to 4.
Yeah. But it's still there in Modern.
It still went too good. I mean, honestly.
All right, so that one's on you, dude. That one's on you.
That was on me.
You should have made it. You should have made it 5.
I have some that are super painful. That at least if not a majority, a significant percentage are on me. Like Umazawa shit. So that was when I first got to influence a Magic set. That was awesome, dream come true. And then lead was Innistrad, the first Innistrad. Oh, I'm saying Innistrad. Rise of Eldrazi. Innistrad's also an awesome set. I did not work on that set, but Rise of Eldrazi was my last lead. So pretty happy with that limited format. People liked it.
Say first Innistrad was I like. I actually I had a short stint. Well, I want to say I'd never quit Magic. I just stopped playing hardcore.
Sure.
I did go through like a little. Even right now, you're talking about playing Magic. I still say I'm a casual tryhard, but I've gotten really into playing Commander with my friends, and I just make my decks like the dumbest things I can come up with because people I work with, they're really bad. One
of the decks I've played around with is a colorless Mirror Battlesphere infinite combo.
Look, you don't even
artifact.
You don't even want to get into that kind of stuff with Matthew Place here. I'm saying like he's above me. That's what I was saying.
Well,
like
that's why I was wanting to ask him. Was I've made that because there was somebody that I knew that had a protection against with like for every color, and it was a rainbow deck.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make something that would counter it, and it was mirror battlesphere with the small mirror that you can tap, and then it untaps all artifacts on the field.
But
And then whenever you have two of them out,
you're a genius because you just made me think of something that Matt Place told to me. And I wonder if this is still true, but the major combo decks, don't most of those start out with just like casual players experimenting with weird cards before the pros get a hold of it? At least it was at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say maybe in the day, yeah, but today obviously it's there's people who just tear through the sets right away. Pros that know what to look for, right? Back in the day though, we didn't. Yeah, actually the one of the first combo decks I saw was Zach Dolan playing it at our school, Rolla, Missouri. It was Duran Enchantress.
Also the first world champion of Magic. I just want to let you know.
Yes, important to point out. Yep, first champion of Magic went to our school too. Wow, Rolla's happening. But yeah, it was Duran Enchantress, infinite turns, time walk, enchantments, draw you. She says an enchantment, whenever you cast an enchantment, you draw a card. Yeah, so he would just keep redrawing his entire deck. Time Twister, go. Yeah, it was pretty sick. And that blew my mind. It really did blow my mind. I don't know if you guys know your first experience with like an infinite combo or an insta-kill combo, right? But this was different. Channel Fireball was an insta-kill, but this was like, for some reason, it blew my mind to see Zach Dolan just going infinite turns, which was a lot harder to do back then too. Urza's block made it a lot easier, but back then it was a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, you remember the Turboland deck?
Yeah, Turboland, yeah.
So hold on. Yeah, that one blew my mind, and it's not because it could turn into an infinite combo, right? It's because of how, I guess, painstakingly boring it was for your opponent to play while you just went turn after turn, countering everything you did, or with the druids in out. Yeah, for some reason, like the sadistic part of me, it was just like I just loved the fact that my opponent didn't get a chance to play the game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so for me, that experience was the deck, right? Brian Weissman, who is my best friend now, didn't know him at the time, but his deck was in the Duelist. He was the most famous Magic player back in the day, right?
Yep.
You didn't know who was the second most famous. That wasn't really a thing back then. The most famous, there was one guy, and it was Brian Weissman, and his deck only had 2 creatures, and it was like, how can you win?
And weren't they Sarah Angels?
Yes, correct, Sarah Angels. Yeah, and it was just baffling, and
I just counter everything, and then on turn 27, I fireball them for whatever life they have left.
Right. Yeah, and
the Battlesphere was dangerous because of that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
Like because of the 2 that I could tap, and one of them would untap all of my artifacts. The Mirror Battlesphere, whenever it taps, all of the tokens that it has out on the field, I can attack directly for. So it's like that infinite combo. The moment that I have everything out on the field, then it just like, 60 damage coming directly at you. Do you have anything that you can heal yourself? No? Okay, you're gone.
That's right.
Speaking of infinite combo, do you remember the time walk step? And that what was it, that fucking card from Visions?
Oh,
it was like Magma Mine or something.
Not Wall of Blossom.
No, Wall of Roots, Magma Mine, and the Time Walk step.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, so a judge had ruled, it wasn't true ever, but yeah, a judge had ruled that between turns there was a step where you could get mana, but state-based effects were not checked, and death, right? So death was not checked for the creature, and so you could get infinite mana off of this wall that basically gave itself a -0, -1 counter to make him green mana. And this was, of course, ridiculous ruling, but so he could get infinite mana, and then I guess he killed with the Magma Mine or something. But yeah, bad rulings. There's a lot of good stories of bad rulings. So I had a bad ruling. So I'm trying to get into top 2 of the first Invitational, and my opponent, we're playing, basically we're top 4. and I'm playing against what is his name? Andre from Sweden. I forget his name. But it was round robin, so he's not in contention for the top 2, but I am, so I need to win. And he plays. If you guys know Sands of Time and Equipoise, what is it called? I forget the name of the card. But anyways, he plays 2 Sands of Time, and they basically say instead of untapping, tap. You know what I mean? Like things that are tapped, untap, and things that are tapped, tap. And so he asked the judge, what happens? And the judge says, "Oh, your opponent's in permanent stasis, and you're not." And I was like, "What? What? I'm in permanent stasis? Why?" And he literally, so he's the king of the rules of the time, I think. I won't say his name, but he's a good dude. I got to work with him later. But he changed the rule, later or whatever, because that was ridiculous. And in hindsight, that step you're talking about, something close to that with the wall making infinite mana, I should have thought of. So I still could have won the game. I had a shatter in my hand to destroy one of the Sands of Time, and I didn't think of this, and I thought of it like right after. I could have mana burned during, which is no longer a thing. Back then, you could tap during the untap. This would have undid the tap untap to me, right? So I would have untapped tap, and then it would have untapped me, and I would have got to shatter, right? I would have mana during the untap. Then during upkeep, I had mana to shatter. So I didn't think of that. I did not make the finals. And did not get to win the first invitational. So sad. The 2 guys in the first invitational, good story on them. It was Mike Long and Ule Rade. 2 dudes who, I'll get some. Mike Long, yes, you've probably heard of this guy.
Yeah,
both of these guys.
Prosbloom.
Yeah, Prosbloom, right? Yeah. So both these guys super famous for cheating. I like both these guys. They were my friends back in the day. I hate that they were cheaters. But so they're playing in the finals, and I'm watching. And there's a turn. They're playing Type 1. And there's a turn where Ule Rade has nothing going on, but Mystical Tutor in his hand. And I'm like, oh man, he's got it. He should Mystical Tutor, excuse me, for Time Walk, and he'll probably win this game. So it was a moment where you could go get Time Walk and win. And Mike Long says done. Ule does not cast Mystical Tutor. And I was like, oh my God, what is he doing? And he went on to win, but I was, why didn't he go get it? It seems so obvious to me. So I asked him afterwards, excuse me. I said, why didn't you Mystical Tutor for? Oh, because Time Walk was on top of my deck already. I was like, that did not occur to me. Oh, you're cheating, and you know the Time Walk.
That's so terrible.
That is the best answer, the worst and best possibly imagine. Did not occur to me that's the reason not to. Right, of course. You don't Mystical Tutor for it. Mystical Tutor lets you put a card on top of your deck, so of course you don't go do that when you've already got it. Yeah, cheating was rampant. It was the Wild West of Magic.
Yeah, from what I hear, it still is, but I don't know, man.
I don't know the pro scene. I don't know the pro scene super well, but my impression was it was a lot better. LSV, Luis Scott Vargas, is one of my best friends too. He's on the up and up, man. I am proud to say that guy. Actually, I'm very certain he is not a cheater, and he wins a lot.
No, I could believe that. So I guess more rampant, less rampant. I don't even know if we can really quantify it. We've seen it caught on camera a lot. That's what makes things weird. Is you catch it on camera, and people that just have they have time, and they're like, that's weird. Like something crazy happened. They slow it down, and like you catch the guy. Like they really cheated. Right. It does make you wonder, like going back in time, how many people were cheaters that never got caught.
Right. I think the average person was cheating more back then in our day. I think that the dude who wasn't necessarily had much of a chance of winning, I think there's just tons of people cheating. I don't know though. Well, but anyway, so speaking of caught on camera, this is kind of a funny story. You guys, Brian David Marshall?
I know of him.
Yeah, know of him. Yeah, he's a great dude. He's so there. I think it was him and Mark Rose commentary. I'm top 4 of nationals, and I'm trying to get to top 2. I'm going to go on to lose. Oh no, it was not Rosewater. I think it was. Maybe it was Rosewater. It was Mark Justice, actually, a name people may not know, but he used to be one of the best players. Also, not on the up and up. But anyways, I get him to talk. Right, just go 2 random cards, and it devastates me. I think it took like 2 Howling Minds or something. My deck was a Turbo Stasis, so I needed Howling Minds. And afterwards, they're like, "Why didn't you force the will it? You should have force willed it, and you would have won the game." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't have a force will." And they're like, "Yes, you did." They're doing an interview, right? I think on camera. And they're like, "No, you should have force willed it." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't have it." And they're like, "Yes, you did." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." And they're like, "Yes, you did." And I'm like, And I had this moment of like, oh my God, did I? Right, because I'm super tired. Like in between rounds, I'm asleep on the floor, and I remember this guy Henry Stern, who also went on to design Magic cards, kicking me in the head to wake me up in between rounds. I was so tired, but so I'm like, oh my God, are they right? Did I not have it? So, anyways, fast forward literally 12 years later, Brian David Marshall, I'm at Wizards. Brian David Marshall comes running into the R&D pit, and he goes, "Matt, you were right." Right? No context. Obviously, he's talking about no context, and I knew exactly what he was talking about. I was like, I was right. I didn't have the flexibility. He's like, you knew it. You knew it. 12 years later, I knew exactly what he was talking about because he had gone and reviewed the tape with Rosewater. And they're like, oh, you're right. You did not force it well. So,
all right, I'm gonna move things around forward a little bit. Me and Vash have. Well, how much longer do you have? Like, I'm gonna say realistically, not more than another 25 minutes.
Well, I have a kid. Let me check my text. I have a kid who may need books read to him. All right, he's going to try to want to go. But yeah, I do need to go help with bedtime here eventually.
Yeah, we could keep going on.
Yeah. We'll do it a hard.
So many questions.
Yeah, we'll do it a hard 20 minutes. But I know Stone Monkey and Sunrise might too.
Perfect.
Stone Monkey was trying to talk, so Stone Monkey, go.
Yeah.
Stone Monkey, go. Ah. So I wanted to know, as a fan of the World of Warcraft TCG myself, big fan of that. And being a slight fan of Hearthstone, not a big fan of Hearthstone, but did Hearthstone not kill the physical card game? I know Blizzard says that that's not what happened, but it seems like the time frame and how everything happened. And I totally get it on the logistics point of having to ship out physical cards and stuff versus just doing it digitally. But it's just like that was like one thing that me and a couple of my longtime friends I've known for 23, 24 years. That was like the one thing that we were able to do together, besides for playing Magic, of course, but we did a lot together as we played that together. And once that ended, it was kind of like a couple of my friends kind of disappeared. And I'm like, damn, I liked that game.
Right. Yeah. It's sad when the game goes away and you get a group of friends too. But yeah, so I got to work on both of the games. So I have some insight into this. I'm also not 100% sure because, the reason why things died, I'm not the one I'm not an executive there, but I will tell you the powers that be, the leads on Hearthstone did not, they framed it to me as that is not, what happened. They really liked the paper TCG. I think if it was up to them, it probably would have continued to exist. Part of the issue, I'll tell you a story here that kind of puts this in a good perspective of kind of understanding what's going on. So loot was was a big part of the game, right? Loot cards, right? These are cards that you scratch off, and then you put the code in, and you get, cool mounts or a pet or whatever toy in World of Warcraft. And so this was a big driver for the sales. The fact that WoW TCG existed meant that Blizzard wasn't selling that stuff themselves, right? And then eventually they changed it, right? So was it a unicorn or something? There was a mount. They eventually did their first mount on the website where you could buy it for real money, right? Now that's a thing, right? You can buy mounts and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the first time they did that, give specific numbers. Here's what I was told: is that it made more profit in the first hour than WoW TCG had made. So the scales are just so far away, right? Personally, that's true, because I love WoW TCG, but that kind of shows you some, right? Like, okay, WoW TCG wasn't, it wasn't huge, right? It had an awesome following, and all of us who played it loved it, but it was hard once you see how much money the amounts can generate. It's hard to.
Oh, I can imagine. I've bought a couple of them.
Right? Blizzard's gonna do what they what's good for players. I think they're awesome at doing what's good for players, but it does make it a tougher argument to renew a license or whatever needs to happen to keep WoW TCG going when the revenue is just not comparable to things. I think it makes it tougher. I don't want to say that's why it changed though, because I don't think Blizzard makes decisions necessarily like that when you got a cool fun game going. But the people who made Hearthstone actually started as a WoW TCG port, right? They were going to take WoW TCG and make it online. And when they broke away from, Eric Dodds eventually broke away. And I actually remember Brode and Dodds coming over to play with us when we're making and showing off some new sets we're working on for WoW TCG. And I remember a day where Ben Brode, who of course is one of the major dudes working on Hearthstone in the early days, he's like, why don't you guys do equipment this way? And he starts suggesting what eventually would be in Hearthstone with the 2 charges basically, right? You have durability. He's like, why don't you guys do it this way? And he's like brainstorming and or telling us, what he and Dodd have been talking about. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. But we already have a system. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't work on Pegasus, which was the code name for Hearthstone. So it's kind of funny, right? Like thinking back on it now, I'm like, that was probably when they were breaking away from WoW TCG and making Hearthstone. Yeah, pretty cool.
All right. Well, Sinrise, are you still? You've been playing Overwatch this whole time. Just listening.
Yeah, but I'm still here. I'm listening, dude. I'm fascinated. I have literally never played.
No, I actually. By the way, Matt, like I'm not saying this to talk shit or anything. It's funny and it's amazing. But I told everybody, it's like, just trust me, dude. Like, it's not gonna take a whole lot of questions. Like Matt Place he's gonna have detailed answers and he can go on forever. That's just always been you.
Oh yeah. But
it's good because you're a great you're an amazing. I could not tell you if this was in reverse and you tried to ask me about like my time at the Junior Super Series or something like that, I would not be.
Oh my god! Can you imagine how boring that would be?
Yeah, I would be awful. But anyway, Sinrise, it's your turn, man. Ask the guru the question.
Oh man, I've been trying to think of something to ask, but you know what? I mostly wanted to know why Blizzard has never wanted to try to develop a real online or like an MMO sci-fi shooter, but
I'm gonna funny enough, we have 10 people watching, but we only had one person in the chat ask a question, which is you know what, it's kind of relevant. I guarantee you have an opinion on it, but what do you think about what's been going on with the Diablo mobile release?
Well, it's interesting, right? It's super right. So I see that kind of from the perspective of the inside, right? You, if you make a product for a group and then you show it to a different group, which I think is a fair way to say, what happened, and that group doesn't want it, and you get a lot of flack. It kind of
there were a lot of PC. There were a lot of strong PC following that they had.
No. What's funny is your whole thing about the insider perspective is exactly what I said. I was like, Blizzard, like that wasn't the place to announce it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know what stuff and whatnot. Either
that or at least reveal like an upgrade, like reveal like an update on the PC that's one thing that they could have done, and then announce the release of the mobile.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they could have done it better.
Group, Yeah, it's a challenge. It's sad. I think that there's lessons to be learned there. In the future, I think BlizzCon will be probably we'll see things more aimed at that audience, things that are safer to show to them, get them super hyped and excited. Which 99 out of 100 things at BlizzCon are really exciting to BlizzCon.
Yeah,
obviously it's Blizzard.
Yeah, and you guys have been known for listening to your fans and actually looking into things. Some of the stuff that I've seen in some of my games, like gameplay and WoW, there was one time I got stuck out in the middle of it was like an area just where to roam around, but there wasn't really that much there, and I got stuck like between this one area, and it seemed like it was like I got glitched in like a wall or something, and it was just an invisible wall. And I remember reporting it, and then just some person just came there, with like their armor and everything, and just went, "Oh, here, boop," and just teleported me right back to the town. I was like, "That's awesome."
GM just saved you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing in the beta and falling through the world all the time. Yeah, fun times. Getting stuck, fun.
Falling through the world is a problem with almost every game.
Yes, it's true. Yeah,
it's almost impossible to stop.
But having a team dedicated to going in and not only loving the game, but and also having the outsider's perspective of the game, but also enjoying the game itself so much so that they're just online ready, just in case anything goes down. And I think that's one thing that Blizzard definitely has over a lot of its competition.
I would say Blizzard has a lot more than that over a lot of their competition.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, you're right.
Yes, but that is one of the major one of many of the major things.
Well, so this is for you, Vash. You had one question that was somewhat political, and we only have I'm going to end 30 after the hour to let him go. Matt, feel free to say you don't know what he's talking about, but it does relate to gaming and the future of gaming.
Yes,
so.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, because I didn't want to make it political because, you know, a lot of the time, like whenever I'm talking about gaming, I don't like to talk about politics. But I will say
Trump plays a lot of Hearthstone, man. Actually,
yeah, really.
Yeah.
He plays Hearthstone?
Does he? Like hold on. Yeah. Are you joshing with us, or do you have like the Blizzard insider that Trump has a Hearthstone account?
yeah, Trump
that
is one of the biggest.
That is fucking cool.
He's one of the biggest. Oh, you guys are thinking I'm talking about the president. Oh man.
Oh yeah, okay, different guy.
No,
my bad.
Trump, the streamer.
Oh, got it. No, this isn't that political. It's not even that political. But ask the question.
But okay,
you guys hated.
with the whole the whole deal that's going down with Article 13 and copyright, and how it's kind of affecting the YouTube area and everything. With how Nintendo enacts its copyright deals, like for example, I was playing Super Metroid. Now, one of the things that they can't get you for is the creatures' sounds, because the creatures' sounds are actually old Godzilla movies. Bits of sounds from old Godzilla movies. But the save music, the few seconds that they have on the save music, they would hit you for a copyright. And to me, I believe that the whole deal of Article 13 might it might be I'm kind of worried about it affecting the gaming world.
Yeah. So the first question is do you know the Article 13 stuff, Matt?
Is it instead of the poster is liable, YouTube is liable? Is that it?
There's a little bit more to it, but that's kind of with the games. Like the people that promote. Really, I think of the way it would affect the industry is the people that promote the games via. And I know Blizzard for certain knows this, right? Your internet influencers are important, so you let them go. Like you don't care if they're playing Hearthstone on stream. Right, but Article 13 and the EU would say that that person doesn't own the copyright to the game and they can't stream anymore.
Right. So real quick on that, don't yell at people for playing the game. Obviously, you want them to play the game. Do you know the story for Tibbler? Right, Tibbler is one of the biggest Hearthstone streamers these days. Super awesome guy. By the way, he's also a former game designer in WoW2G. So if you want to learn about games, listen to his reviews on sets. He has really good insights. But
I'll check it out.
He was a cease and desist from Wizards for playing Magic Online on stream.
Really?
And here we are 3 years later. And so 3 or 4 years later, here we are. He's one of the biggest. He's like, okay, I guess I won't play Magic. How about Hearthstone? Whoops.
Yeah.
Now he's one of the biggest streamers. Yeah, kind of crazy mistake. Can't believe Wizards blows my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so part of what I think about on this, but when I think about this is that it makes me think of prohibition, where if you try to make a rule, a law, where but everybody's just going to break it like crazy, then it becomes like a pick and choose enforcement, which is always tough, right? Oh, you're only enforcing against people who do it for a living, you know what I mean, or whatever happened. maybe it's automated, it's enforced, more often. Maybe YouTube just gets slammed hardcore, but I don't know. It just baffles me how you could do this, because obviously people are going to play music in their background. They're going to want to look at a video with people. I don't know. Yeah. How do you? And then what are the penalties for YouTube? Maybe you guys have looked into this more than me, but yeah, it's baffling to me. It sounds unmanageable.
So, I mean, we live in the U.S., so we don't have to deal with it, really. It's mostly for European markets. But the way it is now, a lot of us, I mean, Sinrise runs a channel. I run a couple channels. It's... What happens is, and I think it's pretty fair, if you do anything, like you play more than 15 seconds of a copyrighted song, even if it's like an hour-and-a-half long broadcast, that should be fair use. But YouTube, like, they just have bots that monetize your channel. So YouTube has a system where they just automatically say, okay, instead of anybody arguing about copyright, whatever money that channel makes now goes to the person that makes the copyright claim. Right. Okay. So even if, and like, yeah, it sounds terrible, but you should think of it, like, I have to look at it in the reverse. There's no lawsuits, nobody's complaining. I just lose monetization. Plus, I still have the option to go in and edit out that part of the video.
Right.
And then I'm re-monetized for the video. Great. Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's not that bad, but the way this Article 13 stuff sounds, it's not going to make it harder for us, but it's going to make it harder for people in Europe for sure.
To me, I feel that this Article 13 deal could also be argued in game development, like someone's programming. Like, let's say somebody takes the textures of one game and they're just recycling it because it's a little bit easier than just building the program itself from the ground up. And you see
that's already protected, yeah.
Yeah, you see that you see that in a lot of games though. Or at least a small relation to it. And
I guess Matt, you never had to deal with that side. The actual programmers for the game. You designed them. You had to yell at the designers for making things not work right, but you never had to do it yourself.
Right. I am not good at programming. I did go to Rolla a little bit. I was a computer science major, but yeah, I didn't follow through on it. So I am not a engineer. But yeah, it does come up. Stone is a good example of this, getting copied and assets getting stolen by, probably mostly exclusively other countries, China, places where
countries that don't, they don't adhere to our copyright laws. Yep.
Yeah, actually, funny story about it. Also happens. You guys know about this with paper, with magic cards, right? There's at Wizards, it was Japan. Magic was huge in the early days. It started to dwindle, and one of the theories is there was gray marketing, that the counterfeit magic cards being printed in China were getting gray marketed over to Japan, and so the demand for the more advertising Japan just means they buy more counterfeit cards, right? So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and that was the theory.
That's a huge deal. That's to the point where it's scary.
Oh yeah. And Yu-Gi-Oh! You might have the stories about Yu-Gi-Oh! Over there by the people from Upper Deck, right? In the story. Well, anyways, working on WoW TCG, they're like, that doesn't happen for WoW TCG. WoW TCG actually sells really well in China. I was like, oh wow, why is that? Oh wow. And the answer was the loot code. You can't counterfeit the loot code. So Chinese buyers only wanted real WoW TCG packs. So actually, WoW TCG did pretty well over there relative to Magic, which is kind of funny. That counterfeit.
That's kind of interesting because I know that Wizards is talking about, like, in packs putting MTG arena codes in them.
There you go. Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I suppose I didn't really think of it this way, but I wonder if it crossed their mind that if they link the two, right? Like, you buy a booster pack of a given set, you get a code that gives you, like, maybe a card from the given whatever they would want to do. I could imagine that would stop people from wanting to get counterfeit cards because they want their online account to be stocked too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I haven't worked for a long time, but they're kind of like currency keeps getting new technology to fight counterfeiters. I know Wizards has done that, right, with that foil lenticular, whatever it is, at the bottom center of the newer Magic cards. I wonder if that's changed the buying pattern of people that have access to counterfeit cards. Because knowing that your card isn't real might make an impact. I don't know.
I actually know right now where to go if I wanted to buy counterfeit cards. I've actually here's what's really crappy. Like, I've considered it amongst my friends just to like, hey, let's have this for our commander decks, right?
Right.
Just because they look pretty good. It's better than just like printing something off on a printer and like slide it into the sleeve or whatever. But the problem is some of I don't want to support them. That's why that's the end result. I don't want to support them because they're so, like, some of them are good enough that like you have the card in a sleeve. Somebody that you're trading, they're not going to tell the difference, right? Like, they end up in shops all the time.
Yeah,
and that's
a skill we had to have. Like, can you spot fake moxes? Right? It was, and they weren't as good back then. Easier to spot, but not everybody knew how. Right? It was like, people would be like,
and
hey,
most
you want
of
to trade?
them,
And I'm like, dude, that is not a real card.
Most of them are exclusively rebacks.
Right. Collector's edition, right?
Yep.
Sealed off and put onto basic beta lands. Yeah. Although in hindsight, did you just put those collector editions in your closet and waited 25 years?
Well,
I'm still hoping that the Loxodons would return.
I'm sure they will. Loxodon Warhammer was in like the last.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm saying that, because it looked like a hint of it, and I remember using an all white Loxodon Punisher deck, like back whenever it first released, and I loved that.
Mirrodin was the first Loxodon set, right? Is that true?
Well, anyway, so Matt, we've kept you here for an hour and a half. I really thank you for joining. I don't want to keep you that much longer. I will say we got Stone Monkey Sunrise. Usually when we have the show, like, we're just sitting around. We're calling ourselves now the Knights of the Coffee Table.
Nice.
We're just trying to emulate. Actually, I know when you're just sitting around at the gaming store late at night, just talking about random gaming stuff.
Yep.
Sean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have another pitch for a name.
All right.
It's like coffee. Knights of the Ground Table. Coffee ground? Coffee ground. I might do something there.
All right,
it's
man.
It's terrible. I apologize.
Maybe I could go there. No, like, it's a bad name. It's not as bad as our former name, so.
It's so bad.
But anyway, like, the whole point of it is, like, we just like to sit around, talk comic book shop.
Yeah.
Having you on, though, like, it was a lot of. Thanks for being episode 1 of Knights of the Coffee Table. Because I want to do more of this stuff. So maybe if you have somebody else that likes talking about their gaming career and stuff wants to come on,
dude,
send them our way so we can just like load up our channel and get a whole bunch of subs, and then maybe YouTube will monetize us. And
I will definitely keep that in mind. Awesome chatting with you guys.
Wouldn't that be
We'll
fun?
have to catch up in person someday, Sean.
Yeah, dude. Next time you're in KC, actually, man, I have vacation time. Where are you at right now? Like Seattle?
Yeah, south of Seattle. I'm Washington.
Oh, sure. Right. So he's close to me because I'm down here, and by down here I mean down here in Vancouver.
Yeah. maybe
Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, down, not up. Yeah, Washington.
All right, yeah.
I want to sneak into Wizards of the Coast and go be a playtester.
I got it figured out. I'm gonna go hang out with Monkey here. And I'll hit you up, and we'll like meet up someplace, and like, I don't know, you show me around wherever. I don't know what's going on up there. I haven't.
It'd be awesome. I'd love to show you around. Actually, I have. You could. I'd definitely show you around. I know the ins and outs of the gaming community here. It's only like an hour away, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, hour and a half or so.
Yeah, I just gotta fly to Stone Monkeys. I'll work that out. I can do that.
Okay, that'd be fun, man. That'd be sweet.
All right, well, anyway, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are up against, this wouldn't mean anything to you, but, like, we kind of have some shared circles in YouTube. We're up against a whole bunch of other people's live streams, so I'm glad everybody that's here tuned in. Anyway, peace out, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday on... Wait, it's my turn next week, right? We're back on my channel.
Back home in Excel.
Episode 2 of Knights of the Coffee Table. Later all.